What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ravi Wadden, and in today's video, I want to cover an amazing lease deal. It's one of the cheapest lease deals in the country, and it's one of the best lease deals in the country in terms of value. It's the 2024 Toyota bZ4X. So in this video, what we'll do is we'll go to Toyota.com, I'll show you the lease deal, we'll kind of go over it in detail, and I'll give you lots of helpful tips and tricks along the way that will help you with your leasing journey, not only if you're interested in leasing a Toyota bZ4X. And then in the second part of this video, we'll talk about the 1.25% rule of leasing. Now, the 1.25% rule of leasing is just a rule of thumb that I use to determine whether or not a particular lease is a good value or not. And ladies and gentlemen, the Toyota bZ4X is one of the best value leases in the country, if not the best value lease in the country. And then in the third part of this video, we'll compare monthly lease payments on this particular car to payments if you were to finance this particular car. And we'll also talk about the $7,500 EV tax credit, which really helps make this Toyota bZ4X an excellent lease deal. So if that sounds good to you, be sure to like this video or give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe or follow to this channel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on Toyota.com, and we have the bZ4X lease deal loaded up right here. As you can see, my zip code is entered. It's 98101, which is the greater downtown Seattle area. Now, to my knowledge, this is a national lease deal, but if it's not, my apologies, but I believe it is a national lease deal. Now, if we look at the terms of this lease, you'll see that the monthly payment on this particular car is only $199 a month. It's a 36-month lease that requires only $2,499 due at signing. You'll also see that this is based on 10,000 miles a year. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking to lease a car, most lease ads like this are going to say 10,000 miles a year, but you can get a 12,000 or 15,000 mile a year lease if you need it. And it's usually cheaper to get a 12 or 15,000 mile a year lease up front when you're negotiating your lease or when you sign your lease per paperwork, rather than paying the excess mileage penalty. Now, you also see that this lease includes $16,250 in cash incentives, and it excludes tax, title, license, registration fees, and dealer options and charges. This bZ4X also includes 2 years of no-cost maintenance plan with roadside assistance. Now, this really is a nice addition if you ask me, even though this is an electric car and it really doesn't need all that much maintenance anyways, but it's still nice to know that 2 out of your 3 years will be covered in terms of maintenance. And then we also have some language around an additional $500 college rebate program and a military personnel rebate of $500. Now, if we scroll down to this area and read the fine print, which is in really small font, so let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so it's easy for you all to see. You'll see that this bZ4X has a total MSRP of $47,734, and that will be a huge factor in why this is such a good lease deal in terms of value when we run the 1.25% rule of leasing. And as you can see here, this does have a lease and purchase option. You can buy this particular car at the end of the lease for $21,480. Now, so many people think that when you lease a car, you're simply renting a car, but ladies and gentlemen, that is not true. Most leases, if not every lease in the industry, aside from Tesla, have buyout options. And as you can see, you can buy this particular Toyota for $21,480. Now, a lot of people ask me, Ravi, when does it make sense to buy the car at the end of the lease? Well, I think the biggest factor in whether or not you buy a particular car at the end of the lease term is whether or not you have equity in your lease. So let's say I lease this bZ4X today, and it's a 36-month lease. Well, 35 months or so from now, before the lease ends, I'm going to see if the bZ4X is worth more than this $21,480 that I can buy it for. Now, if it is worth more than that, what I can do is take that equity and realize that equity. I can either sell that car to a local Toyota dealership and pocket that, equity, that cash, that extra cash, or what I can do is trade my Toyota in maybe for another Toyota lease and take that cash and use it towards a down payment. And there's other ways that you can actually realize the equity. Now, if the car is worth less than $21,480 at the end of the lease, I would simply turn that car back in. Now, you also see that the $2,499 that's due at signing in this lease includes a $1,650 customer down payment. Now, this will go towards the capitalized cost of the car. It will actually reduce your payment. And then the first month's payment is also included in that of $199. And the $2,500 due at signing also includes the $650 acquisition fee. And ladies and gentlemen, every manufacturer has an acquisition fee. It's something that you really can't get out of. Now, what I try to tell people is that you can roll all of these fees into your actual lease payment, making it a true sign and drive. And that really depends on the dealer. Some dealers will let you do it. Some dealers won't let you do it. It may depend on your credit score, and it can depend on other factors as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this lease allows for 10,000 miles per year. And if you drive over 10,000 miles per year, you will be charged 15 cents a mile for all mileage over 10,000 miles a year. And they look at it from a total basis. So this is essentially a 30,000 mile lease. So each mile you go over 30,000 miles, you'll be charged 15 cents a mile. Now, if you know you're going to drive more than 30,000 miles over the term of this lease, like I mentioned earlier, it's cheaper to get a 12 or a 15,000 mile a year lease up front rather than having to pay this 15 cents a mile penalty. And at the end of the lease, if you decide to return this car back to the dealership, you will have to pay a $350 disposition fee, and that is standard across the industry. Some manufacturers charge $200, some charge $500, some charge $700, but Toyota is sitting at $350. Now, in this part of the video, I want to talk about the 1.25% rule of leasing, which is a rule of thumb, as I mentioned, that I use to determine whether or not a particular lease is a good value or not. And running the 1.25% rule is fairly simple. What we'll do is we'll take the due at signing, which is $2,499, which is the amount due at signing. We'll actually subtract the first month's payment, which is $199, since that $2,499 includes the first month's payment. And when I do that, I get $2,300. And then I'll divide this by 36 months, since this is a 36-month lease. And what that does is it takes the due at signing amount and it breaks it into 36 equal parts, and that gives me $63.88. Now what I'll do is I'll add the monthly payment of $199 to this amount, and that gives me $262.88, and this is a pre-tax monthly payment with $0 down. Now, if you want to account for taxes, I just multiply it by 1.1 to account for 10% sales tax here in the city of Seattle. Now, Seattle has some of the highest sales tax rates in the nation. So if your area is a 6% sales tax area in your county, or if it's 5%, you will just multiply it by 1.06 or 1.05 instead of me, how I'm multiplying it by 1.1. Now, when I multiply it by 1.1, I get an effective monthly payment of $289.17 a month. And this $289 a month is with $0 down, and this payment includes taxes. Now what I'll do is I'll divide this $289 a month by this vehicle's MSRP, which is $47,734. So I'll divide this by 47,734. And when I do that, I get 0.006. Now I'll multiply this by 100 to move the decimal point over 2 spots. And when I do that, I get 0.60. Now, ladies and gentlemen, anytime your monthly payment with $0 down, including taxes, is less than 1.5% of the MSRP, that's a good lease deal. Anytime your monthly payment with $0 down, including taxes, is less than 1.25% of the MSRP, that's a great deal. And anytime your monthly payment is less than 1% of the MSRP, that's an amazing deal. And this lease deal at 0.6% is just ridiculous. It's one of the best lease deals in the country right now, and it's one of the best lease deals that I've seen in a long time. And one thing that makes this bZ4X lease deal even better is the fact that this Toyota is electric, and that means that if you charge this car at home, your monthly electricity bill is going to increase by about $40 to $50 a month depending on where you live. But this vehicle could easily save you $100 to $150 in gas depending on how expensive gas is in your area. Now, I think the average cost across the country for regular unleaded is around $3.50. So you could easily save an additional $100 to $150 a month in gas, and that would lower your effective payment even more, making this bZ4X an even better deal. Now, in this part of the video, I want to compare the Toyota bZ4X lease deal, which is over here, $199 a month for 36 months with $2,500 due at signing, to the monthly payment if you were to finance this same car. So let's go ahead and use the MSRP for the auto price, which is $47,734. We'll do a 72-month term instead of a 60-month term, which would essentially make the monthly payment lower than if it was a 60-month term. And in terms of the interest rate, we'll actually use a 0% interest rate because Toyota is advertising a 0% APR for 72 months when you finance a bZ4X. Now, in terms of the down payment, we'll use the same down payment of, was it $2,499? Yes, $2,499. And then trade-in owed, we won't do anything there, nothing there. Sales tax, 10%. And we'll include all fees in the loan. And when we calculate this payment, oh, I added too many digits there. You're looking at a monthly payment of about $726 a month, and that's using a 0% interest rate. Compared to if you lease this car, you're looking at a payment of about $199 a month. So you're looking at a payment that's $526 more. Now, let's just say that, you didn't end up paying $47,734 for this car. Let's say you got a $10,000 discount on this car, a very aggressive discount. And even when you pay $37,734, your monthly payment is still $573, where you can lease this car for $199 a month. And another reason that leasing this car just makes sense is because of the $7,500 EV tax credit. You see, when you finance this car, you don't get the $7,500 EV tax credit. You don't even get a penny of it. But when you lease this car, you get the $7,500 EV tax credit, and that $7,500 is evenly split up between the 36 payments, which lowers your monthly payment by $208 a month or something like that. I think it's $200 to $208 a month, which makes the leasing on this car an extremely good value. And that's why there's such a big difference between leasing and financing this particular car, and why I think leasing this particular car is a no-brainer. Now, a couple of things before you go. Let me know what you would rather do. Would you rather lease this particular car, or would you rather finance this car at 0%? Let me know in the comment section below. And the second thing I want to let you know about is DriveMatch.com. Now, DriveMatch.com is a company that I co-founded, where you can find pre-negotiated lease deals that will save you time and money. You see, a lot of times dealerships post lease deals like this. Well, I shouldn't say dealerships, but the manufacturers post lease deals like this, bZ4X or a Mercedes or a BMW. But then when you go to the dealership, that lease deal is nowhere to be found. Like, everybody in the dealership acts like that lease deal doesn't exist. And that's the problem that DriveMatch.com is looking to solve. So if you're looking for a lease at a great price and you just want a pre-negotiated lease deal where you don't have to deal with the dealership, go to DriveMatch.com, check out our inventory. We're adding more cars every single day. Thank you all for watching. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.